Looks like we are pushing live, coming through, and we'll refresh the page. And let's see, I don't see anything yet. Testing, testing. There we go. It is good to see all of the cool people in the house. It is Monday and it's a live stream. And today we've got our first guest. My goal is to go live every Monday unless I'm traveling or who knows. But for right now, I'm going to be live streaming on Mondays. Really excited today to host Daniel Batal. Daniel was actually a coaching client years ago. We worked together really closely for 3 months and then he was good and he moved on and he's doing amazing things. And in this, the next hour or so, we'll see how long Daniel has. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to dig into YouTube growth. And it is absolutely fantastic to have you here. So welcome, everybody, to the live stream. Let me jump on and bring Daniel back over here now. So I'll just add Daniel to the stage. Daniel, it is fantastic to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, my friend.
Fantastic. Here's what we're going to do. I've got a number of questions, short, simple responses. We know your name. How many YouTube subscribers do you currently have?
Oh, gosh. You started with a hard one. I don't actually know. It's over 400,000 and under 450. I think it's 420 or 430 something. I haven't really been paying attention.
Plenty. I think a lot of people, if there's anybody watching this live stream that would be happy with, say, 25%, just let us know, drop a comment and let me know where you're coming from. I'd love to know. Daniel, when's the last time you uploaded a video?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
There you go. Interesting. Yeah, I published one yesterday and today. So seems like uploading is the way to go. What is the biggest?
Wait a minute. Is that the big news event that's going to happen? Listen, people, publishing videos to YouTube will actually help you grow a channel faster than if you don't publish videos to YouTube. I can absolutely confirm that.
What's the biggest mistake new YouTubers make? The short, sweet, and condensed version, the biggest mistake.
Wow. Looking for that magic push button, get it done button, that one tip that's going to suddenly just change their trajectory instead of spending time thinking about YouTube as a sort of larger thing that you have to spend time learning and getting better at and more proficient at over time.
Absolutely. Just published a video this morning. The essence was wake up call. And I think there are a lot of people out there that are like looking for something that simply, sadly, does not exist. But what do I know? Another question for you is, what about titles or thumbnails? Like if you had to choose one, you only get one answer. Like which one is more important?
Wow. I hate to say it. I'm going to say titles. And there's a reason behind that, but I'm going to say titles are more important to me than thumbnails are.
100%. That's the right answer. You get a stay. Congratulations.
Whew, man, this is a tough game show. Does the bottom drop out if I answer the question wrong, Brian, and I just go down to the pit of alligators?
Hey, man, it's good to see you. If you're just jumping in, looks like we have about 35 people here, and we're live streaming on Mondays. I've got Daniel Batal. Now, me and Daniel, we've been friends for quite a while. Daniel's an amazing YouTuber. Again, if you're just jumping in, we're talking YouTube. Let's just kind of start having a little bit of a more of a discussion. Daniel, like my question is, I think a lot of people do feel like there's something that's maybe not quite right, or the algorithm is against them, or it just seems almost impossible. And yet I know that you believe that it is possible, and I do too. But how does someone face that? Like, how do we move forward in a manner that really can allow us to gain traction on a very competitive platform?
That's such a big question, right? I mean, that's like the biggest question condensed down into one. I think that the key to success on YouTube is kind of twofold. It's one part really taking the time to learn how YouTube works and what makes successful channels. And then the second part of that is having the guts and the stamina to then take what you've learned about how, strong channels grow, and then putting that into action, which takes a lot of time and effort. You and I know this, Brian. It's not that kind of thing that you just go, oh, I put up 6 videos, or I put up 20 videos, and now my channel's going to start doing well. Man, it's the hardest job that I've ever had in my life. And when people say, well, being a YouTuber, it's not like digging ditches. I used to dig ditches, and people say like, well, it's not like, stacking rocks. I used to stack rocks. I was in construction for 35 years. So trust me when I tell you, it's like the hardest job I've ever had in terms of the amount of things you have to know to become successful.
Man, I really feel that. And for me, 100%. And just getting started on YouTube. And I think a lot of people have this attitude of, let me see what's going to happen. Let me kind of, upload some videos and see. And that's fine, but I think when you really want to grow, this is probably the worst outlook or mindset that you can have, because, you're going up against seasoned professionals. And I don't think there's a lot different between striving to grow a YouTube channel and driving, hundreds of thousands of views with your videos and being a professional athlete. Imagine, facing off against the Dallas Cowboys, and you're on the defense team, or no, you're on the offense, and it's your job to protect the quarterback. And you haven't worked out, you're out of shape, you have no idea how the game is played. And then, for people to jump into YouTube and think they're going to have these results is, I think, it's a little bit of a bummer, because I think it sets them up for kind of just a really hard road, rather than just saying, hey, this is where I'm at. I need to take my time. I need to publish videos, and I need to learn along the way. It takes the pressure off. But I remember when I started, this is another, let's do this. I remember when I started, and I was very nervous. How did you feel? Were you nervous when you started, Daniel?
I think we all are, because unless you've grown up having to make videos and putting them onto a platform, like filming yourself, I think there's a thing you have to learn to be comfortable with the camera. That was the hardest thing for me, was learning how to be the best version of myself, not trying to be something that I thought I was supposed to be, if that makes any sense. And it was the sort of all of the fuzz that you get in your head and the things that you're thinking. You need to stop thinking, and what you need to start doing is focusing on being the best version of yourself. And when you start embracing the camera, then it starts to make a ton of sense. Like you and I are talking right now. Yeah. And there's a million people who have done this either on their phone, with a vid chat, or using, you name it, have talked to their friends. And when we talk to our friends on a phone or a vid chat or voicemail, it's easy for us to converse. But something happens when you have to go film YouTube videos. Yeah. And all of those natural instincts that make us, we get nervous, and stuff goes out the window, and we start acting weird, and we either are too quiet, or we're acting funny and staring at the camera and not being natural. So that learning to be yourself just takes time and practice. And that was probably the hardest thing for me.
Yeah, I think so. And also, how important is it for those of us that are on camera? The aspect of being on camera, where does that play in a YouTuber's ability to get more views?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends, right? Because there's a million different types of channels out there, and there's some people who are never on camera, right? There are people who build content and they're not on camera. They don't speak into a microphone. They're building content that they never have to do what you and I are doing right now. Right. So I always try to be cognizant of, one, there's not just one type of channel out there, but also there's not just one way to be successful on YouTube. So I think for what we do, which tends to be utility resource stuff, where we're trying to help people learn how to do something, either learning, in my case, I'm leaning more towards video editing. In your case, you lean more towards, you talk about making videos, but it's more towards the actual thinking about YouTube and how to make content that can actually do well on the platform. So this whole educational thing is something that we have, I don't know if I'd call it an advantage, but at least we know the box we're in, right? We understand the box, and we say, hey, we're trying to be good educators, and we're trying to learn ourselves along the way, and then make sure that we're connecting with people who are trying to do the same thing that we're trying to do well. And so it makes it a little easier. If I had to do content that was, I know people who, go out on adventures and go hiking, and they, it gets crazy. I wouldn't even know. We have friends like our pal Neil from Neil C from Urban Van Life, where he buys these vans and he completely turns them into these giant tweaked out camper vans. And these are long projects. And, it's a whole different skill set that he brings. He's not just looking in the camera and talking about something. He actually has to build along the way. So every educator has a different set of hurdles that they have to overcome.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, for me, and it's like I started writing the third book, and I really taught this workflow of 10 things. Like, if you can focus on 10 things, you really can succeed. And for a long time, I really talked about your delivery. And I believe in that, and I think that's right. But I think a better way to frame it is what you were mentioning, which is really like, well, what about the people that maybe they're not on camera, they do screen recordings, or they're vlogging, they're building things, they're doing voiceovers. And what I like to think about is guiding the viewer through your video and really understanding the beginning, the middle, the end, and then looking at the structure of your video, understanding as you're editing that, man, I'm going way too long here, or it's too discombobulated. And we've worked together. It's interesting. Like, I think for me now, I have less to prove, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it does make it easier for me to communicate in just a more relaxed way, and so on. And it makes it easier to publish more videos, which is really powerful. But just understanding that there has to be something in place that guides the viewer through the video, whether that's a silent vlog and it's text on the screen, whether it's the person presenting. And the more we think about this, like for me, if you're on camera and you can just simply say, like, two things, I've talked about this a lot. One is what technically could be improved on my next video, audio, video editing, the thumbnail. And then second, like, just do your best to be a little bit more yourself on camera with your delivery. And focusing on these things has really allowed me to move forward. And again, just thinking of it as guiding the viewer. And I just want to welcome a lot of cool people. Chantel, I saw you jumped in. And Hala Sounds, I've seen you on the channel quite a bit. Ghost, Brandish Jam, good to see you. And I just want to welcome everyone again to the live stream today. We have my friend Daniel Batal on the live stream, the Monday live stream. And Daniel came to me years ago. And Daniel, why don't you tell the story of how we started working together? I remember
well, are we going to get the story right? Like, maybe I'll remember it differently, and I'll be like, we were in a Mexican prison.
No, that was me and Nick, and I actually have photos to prove it of me and Nick, and we were in San Diego. And we found a little fake prison, and we're in there, we're doing video and shooting, but just kind of mention like how we hooked up and some of the things we did. And I just want to let everyone know that one of the things I want to encourage you to do is like, just decide, like right now, really decide that you're going to make it happen, and that you can, and you have the power to figure it out. If you're like, there's so much, small steps add up. And when I started working with Daniel, he really impressed me. And Daniel, just tell the story a little bit, because some of those early days, I think it's fun to recall our beginnings, because it's so hard in the beginning.
So at my age, it's hard to remember. That's the hardest part. Like, when was it? I remember, like, I had a channel before the channel I have now, which was one I did with my son, because my son had originally come to me and said, hey, Dad, you want to do a YouTube channel? And I had been using YouTube since about 2012 to host videos for my construction company. So I didn't understand the word channel. I understood the word YouTube, but YouTube channel didn't make any sense to me. But he kind of said, well, we'll do and he showed me some channels, and I said, well, I've got this YouTube thing. We can do it on that. And we started making videos together to find a way to spend time together as father and son. So it was great. That lasted for about 50 videos, maybe 49, 50 videos.
Wow.
But I always told him, if this ever starts to feel like a chore, let's not do it, because I don't want this to be a job. It's something that we should do, having fun together. And of course, after that amount of videos, it was like, hey, Jonas, do you want to make a video? And he's like, well, my buds are down at the ballpark, and he didn't want to do it. But I had been bitten by the YouTube bug, and I loved it, and I wanted to keep going. And that's when I had reached out to you, because I was like, well, I don't know if I want to keep doing this without my son. This was kind of for fun. And I don't even know if this was the thing that I wanted to be doing. I was trying to figure out, well, what does a successful YouTube channel look like? I'm kind of serious about this, and I didn't want it just to be something as a goof. I wanted to be serious. So I said I'd reach out to someone who I followed, and you were one of the people that I, followed on YouTube as a YouTube growth educator. And yeah, I threw a little bit of money at you. You wouldn't take too much at the time. I don't think you still haven't. I still owe you money probably. But you spent a little time with me. We came up with some ideas to build the channel. There's more to the story back in there, but long story short is you kind of helped me come to focus with what it was I should build. And this wasn't the first channel that we mocked up and tried and looked at and thought about. There were some other ones along the way that, were more food related and cooking related. And we ended up on the idea of sort of just doing exactly what I was doing every day, which was trying to learn how to edit videos, put them onto YouTube, and grow a YouTube channel. And at the time I was using a video editing software called Filmora, and you kind of said, well, that's what you're doing. Why don't you show some other people how to do what you're doing? And that was the beginning of the channel. And that was, a lot of people for a lot of years connected my name with Filmora from just the tutorials that I made and helping people learn how to edit video.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm glad you mentioned the cooking. And anybody watching, one of the things that's interesting for me is I've been doing this marketing thing for a long time. Daniel mentions like, oh goodness, I'm old. Like, I think I'm older than you, Daniel. And
yeah, wait a minute. I think we figured it out. We're like a year apart,
yeah,
right in there, right about a year apart.
You must be 58. Is that correct?
Yeah, I turned 59 in a couple of months here.
Yeah, so I got about 6 months on you then.
Yeah, okay.
One of the things that Daniel did when we got started is we had this meeting and we talked a little bit. And the first thing I said is like, I think it's important to really value what you're going to be talking about and doing and the niche and so on. And I think you're kind of in this stupid human trick, kind of like this extreme food reviews. How did Nick rhyme it? The only extremes I see is in your food. Your technique is bleak. It's weak.
Yeah, Nick, you and Nick. Oh my God! But a perfect example, right? Like when I started this channel, it was springboarding off of a thing that I had come to you, and this is how we first started talking. Is I had an idea. I was in your group, and we kind of knew each other, and in passing. Like, I knew who Brian was clearly, but he kind of at least knew me by name, or we hadn't hung out or anything. And I approached him with an idea to do a video where I was going to write music for it, and I was going to get him to kind of, we'll call it singing. It was more rapping or spoken word over a song. I had this idea, and he didn't know me from Adam. And I came at him with like, I got this idea. And he basically said no.
I don't even remember that. Like, you tell the story a few times.
You did. Kind of came with you. I had this. Now, for those of you who have ever been to my channel, you know what I do in my channel. But every once or twice, maybe once a year, once every 2 years, I'll do something musical because I have a musical background, and I'll do something musical on the channel. Some people have seen the I'm not a rock star stuff that I've done. There's been it's 3 or 4 songs I've done on the channel. Hey, living in Omaha, thank you very much. I appreciate that. For whatever portion of that I was a piece of. That means a lot. Thank you. But I had this idea to go, Brian was teaching me all these things vicariously through his channel. He probably didn't know how much of his stuff that I was sitting and I was really learning the process of how to be a better YouTuber. And I had this idea in my head to do, like, I grew up in an era, I'm an older guy. They used to have this thing on television around here called Schoolhouse Rock. And it was like on Saturdays, there was these cartoons that would supposedly teach you things like English language or conjunctions or things like that. And it was these public broadcasting things that would be cartoon, fun, educational, sing-songy commercials that were maybe 2 minutes long that would teach you something. And I wanted to do like a Schoolhouse Rock, but for YouTube, and make kind of a campy Schoolhouse Rock song, but do it all about the things you need to know to be a successful YouTuber. And I approached Brian with the idea, and he just was like, I don't really know you, and I'm busy working on my own channel, and I appreciate you reaching out, but Yeah, this is gonna have to be like a no from me. And he kind of left. He was kind of really kind. He was like, but if you kind of, I don't really know I've never heard you play music. I don't even know what you're talking about really. And I did a horrible job of explaining what I was thinking. So what I had done was, he said, but like if you flesh out the idea a little bit more, come back to me and, ask me, show it to me what you're thinking, if you've got a better idea of what it might be. And maybe there's something there. And I went and I wrote, I think, the chorus to the song, Brian, right? I think I wrote the chorus.
Something like that.
Something along those lines. And I think and the song was called Trigger the Algorithm. And I sent you the chorus, I think through like Facebook Messenger, was just the chorus. And once he heard the chorus and heard like, oh, this guy can write music and play and sing and he can compose music, then the thing started taking focus and he was like, okay, all right, maybe we can do something together. And we decided to do this song together, where we were literally filming, and then I would send my parts to him and he would edit and add on, and then he'd send it back to me. How long did we do that for? How many days was that, Brian?
Well, first of all, I'm really glad you started telling this story, because there's something specific about that time when we were working together. You said something to me, and you said, well, if this doesn't work and if this doesn't, blow up, or this doesn't really perform well, and I was like, I'm not so sure. This is not really what my audience is after. And I think it really shows you, like, there's no, like, you know exactly what to expect when doing that kind of a thing. And if you're watching thinking, oh, I have to really pay attention to my niche, the other part of that story is that doing those types of things is the thing that makes me and Daniel and everybody I know that plays this game at the highest level they can a better YouTuber. So someone mentioned, man, the vlogs you've been doing, Brian, like, man, you're out and about and you're filming in different locations, and like, I'm literally pumping gas and there's people, and I don't care anymore because I just normalized it. But I did that out of a need to just freshen things up, and I kind of felt trapped down here. And I think it's just always reinventing yourself, always trying to do something new, and really just to create a damn good video, whether it's for views or it's for your own personal enjoyment, and kind of like a cornerstone on your channel that, like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that, or whoa, that makes the channel stand out. But at the time, you had this idea that this Trigger the Algorithm was going to be a big deal. And to answer your question, Daniel, we worked on it for nearly 2 weeks. And
it was like 12 or 14 days, right?
Yeah.
Straight, like not just kind of dabbling.
No.
Straight.
We were just, what's really interesting is when you're just getting started, everything is really, really hard. And we were kind of just getting started, and I had never done anything like that before. So I'm kind of, even if you have a lot of experience with YouTube, you're really learning. Like now it's a music video with angles and cutting and sending footage back and forth, and there's a song, and it just takes an awful lot of dedication. But it's funny, when we set up this live stream, I was excited, and Maria's upstairs, and I put on that video, and that's just a great example again of that. Like, that's something that not a lot of people enjoy, but like Nick swung by 2 weeks ago and he said, hey, I just had to stop by and vibe out to this rap. Now I'm kind of lucky because I have no musical skills, but somehow all my friends are extremely talented. And I make sure to wear sunglasses. I try to look good for an old man, and I get to make these videos. But so the thing I would say is, pushing yourself to find that next level is really powerful. I think what we're going to do too, if you're just jumping in, I want to answer your questions. I want Daniel to get to your questions too. We're going to keep asking have a little conversation, and then we'll make that happen. So yeah, that was a good time. It was an interesting project, I guess you could say.
Interesting. There we go. Interesting. Well, what's funny was the reason that was important, because when I had started my channel and we were trying to figure out the focus for it, the very first 3 videos on my channel, or I think it's 3, it's been a minute since I've looked all the way back then, it's 2 or 3, were literally videos talking about how to collab with other YouTubers, and it was a behind the scenes breakdown of the stuff that we were doing to make the video for your channel. So the very first videos ever on my channel were all a part of that video that we were making for your channel. And I can remember you were the one who said you got to get these done and ready to publish, because the minute we publish the music video on my channel, I'm going to push back to your channel. It has to have some content on it so that this can work in more than one way, that people can start to see what you're doing. And it was one of the greatest collaborations I was able ever to be a part of, thanks to you, because you had a bigger, while I had this goofy idea for a song, which is still something that happens on my channel all the time, you were one who said, well, let's think about it in terms of how to, increase reach, to get people excited.
Are you sure? Are you
yeah,
sure
this
about
was all
that?
you. Yeah, I'm definitely
you're
sure.
You're just trying to pass it back to me. Like,
I'm not. If you go back to my channel, yeah, I wasn't ready. I was like, listen, I still have to finish editing this song. And you're like, you need to finish videos on your channel because I want to put you in the end screen of that video. I don't know if I'm still there in the end screen of that video anymore.
Like,
I have to.
No, after the first week, I removed him.
I would have been like, you don't need to. But I think it still might be there, where it pushes right back to the very first video on my channel. And that was just you being gracious as always, and not just making it was bad enough that I was making you jump through hoops to do the song thing, but then great. You did that. Hey, Gabby, how you doing, pal?
We need to acknowledge a few people. Gabby is here, and before I say hello to Gabby, which I just did, it's good to see you, Gabby. I need to let you know, I'm talking to you right now. If you want YouTube success, if you're ready to make it happen, if you're ready to just push away the distraction, to decide it shall be, I just want you to connect with that and be aware that Gabby has been someone that's been hanging around Daniel and myself for a really long time. She has well over 400, 500, way too many subscribers, just like Daniel. Then we have my friend Ken. Now was recently featured on a TV show, and he is a YouTuber that is out with the little big metal detectors. Is that right, Ken? They're pretty girthy and thick, and they're manly metal detectors, and he was
girthy, thick, and manly. What kind of show are you putting on here,
I don't know what happened there. I'm not sure
where are you going.
But he was recently featured on a TV show, and what I want you to know is that anybody, including you, can make it happen, but you really have to play like, no, there's no backup plan. Gabby, you got to stop it. You're going to make me all emotional now.
Gabby throwing huge YouTube money right at you. Thank you, Gabby. That was very kind of you.
Okay. So anyway, that's the kind of thing that can happen. So just, the thing I want to encourage anybody that's watching right now is it's possible. And if you're not sure, just hang out with people that believe that you can make it happen, and push away all the negativity and look out, because it's only a matter of time. So, Gabby, you got me. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
You actually made him go quiet for a minute, Gabby. That was perfect. I didn't know what it took to make Brian go quiet for a minute, but apparently it's just a large sum of money.
So let's do some more questions here. Daniel, how often should people upload to their YouTube channel to see maximum success?
I believe that there's a couple of ways I look at it. I think that you should never go more. I think about the spaces in between, right? The spaces in between publishing is what probably makes the most amount of sense. And when I say publishing, that can be long form, that can be short form, that can be live streams, that can even be community tab posts, putting something onto your channel so that it's active. I personally think that you should try not to go more than about a week in between, so 7 or 8 days. If you start getting to 7 or 8 days and nothing has gone onto your channel on any type of form of content, I think that you should think about, trying to step that up so that you always have something dropping once a week for people, whatever form that might be. But at the same time, sometimes people get wrapped up in trying to put too many videos out a week. I'm going to do 2, 3, 5. I think making sure that you're consistent. I think consistent means that every week something should be up on your channel that's new. And I think that you should not try to put so much content up that your target audience or your current community that can consume your content, you shouldn't try to overwhelm the consumption base. If you're putting out more than they can physically consume at the moment, in most cases, there are a few exceptions to that rule, I would say limit it, like build some growth. Don't be putting 20 videos out in your first week and expecting all kinds of returns, because YouTube is still trying to figure your channel out. You're trying to build some momentum. It's learning how to, who to serve that content to. So I'm a fan of sort of slow and steady and learning to put content out consistently, and then let YouTube start figuring out who the content is for based on how people are reacting to it. And that's kind of that's where I sit. And that's just a general rule of thumb. It can be very different for different channels, but that's a good place to start, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. I think it's really, for me, the one thing I would add to that is I think there's a lot of power in trying to understand what you can let go of and what really isn't going to move the needle. And I paused, Daniel, because that's a phrase that ooh, that's a good phrase. Move the needle. Like,
look at us. Trademark that.
Back in the day, Daniel and I, we would communicate quite a bit and talk, just kind of keep each other in check and strive to keep moving forward and just move the needle. But I think when you are striving to publish, publishing a little bit more is great as long as it doesn't overwhelm the audience. I'm probably doing that right now. And at the same time, I know that as long as I am honest with myself and what I'm sharing, and if I'm able to create a message that's based on real methods, strategies, inspiration, motivation, overcoming hurdles, anything that truly matters to a group of viewers on YouTube, I'll be okay. One of the things I've leaned into is, again, just trying to keep things fresh. Some of you might be wondering, well, do I do shorts or do I do live streams? And what's interesting is I asked Daniel this question about publishing, and he even mentioned, live streams or shorts or long form. I think personally for me, what's more important is what are you excited about? Because you have to continue to upload. And if you're not in it to win it, and if you're not enjoying your time, like when we talk about success on YouTube, like what does that mean? And if it's, I need to make money or I just want to have fun, well, what does it look like? Like if you need to make money, then the niche you choose, the kind of content you create, these things matter. And then just understanding, well, I'm going to publish some videos and I love shorts or I don't like shorts. Like for me, when I came back, it's probably about 14 or 15 months now, I really focused on long form videos because I wanted to get to a place where I was happy with what was happening. And at the same time, I knew, like, I was pretty sure live streaming would happen. And I started getting invited. I'm like, yeah, I need to make that happen. And I had actually set up the desk here in a new location. And the one thing I did, and this is what I want to hit home, is I really honed in my workflow and my momentum. Nothing about YouTube's momentum, not about getting like learning how just to publish a video quickly. If someone had a gun to my head and said, you have a number of hours to make something, like, okay, great, I can do it. And it's in a manner that I'm excited about. So something to think about. And just all the cool kids keep dropping in. Good to see you, Comedy Lizzie. Hollis Sound is in the house. Like 77 of you knuckleheads. I'm not sure what you're doing here, but here we are. So we'll do our best.
Yeah, there you go.
Daniel.
I will say, Brian, your ability to captivate and compliment an audience once they're here is just astounding. you knuckleheads.
Well, I just think anybody that's watching us
right. must be. Well, we are the OG knuckleheads, so if they're here by proxy,
they might be
probably
riding the short bus.
They might be. Yeah, that's where we came from.
Let's choose one more question, and then anybody here that has a question, give me 5-6 minutes, and then we'll start addressing your questions and so on. Daniel, if you had to start over today, you probably already know the end of the sentence. Like, you got to start over. What does it look like? What do you do?
That's a great question. I will tell you this. Starting over, it would be one of the scariest things in the world, only because I think a lot of times we think that once you've had a successful channel or, you've sort of learned how to create successful channels, that it's this inherent gift that you can just do it. And it's a lot more than that. It's a lot, you've got more than one channel. I've got more than one channel. I worked on more than one channels. Both of us, I've coached thousands of channels, literally thousands of channels. And to sort of put your head into it and to think outside of what might be your niche or your, conversation is a, you really start to understand how difficult it is to be a successful YouTuber. it's, you know, the vast majority of content creators out there on YouTube are not going to find success. Most creators probably won't get monetized. Most creators will never have a video that reaches 10,000 views. You get to a channel. My channel's not that big. I'm about 400 and some odd thousand subscribers. Gabby ourselves, right? Look at Gabby. She'd have a mental breakdown if she had to start again. And I totally agree. Gabby's at over 600,000 subscribers. But
wow.
we're small potatoes on the platform. Like, in one sense, we represent, our channels are in the, you know, under, you know, 1%. We're like 0.6 or 0.5% of all channels on the platform, which is like, wow, I'm doing better than 99.5% of the channels on YouTube. That's crazy. But what happens in that top 5% is a very wide spectrum. The difference between where I'm at and where like a Jimmy or Mr. Beast, you know, or Legal Eagle, Devin Stone, some of these people who, you know, Rick Beato, is quite a difference, right? There's quite a spectrum in that 0.5% in there. So I think that what you have to think about is when you're going to come to YouTube and try to do one of these things, if I was going to start over, I think the very first thing I would do is I'd have to find another thing that I'm passionate about, because that's one of the things that you really worked with me on is, look, if you're going to start a channel, think about where you're going to be a couple of years from now. And is this something that you can, you know, we worked a long time trying to find something that made sense. Can you see yourself doing this in a couple of years? Can you still find yourself excited about it and being passionate about it and wanting to talk about that conversation? Thankfully, it's been, I think, when did I start this channel, Brian? 2008, middle of 2018. So we're on the 7th year, where I think July 18th will be year 7 mark. I can't imagine. It's crazy. It's been 7 years since you helped me start this channel. But 7 years later, I still love it. The channel's growing faster than ever. I'm always reimagining the content strategy to find a better way to do the kind of things that I want to do to help people who are trying to create their own channels and edit video and learn how to use software. So it's one of those things, if I had to start again today, it would be tricky, because I'd have to find another passion in my life that I could feel that I wanted to talk about every single day. And I would do so because it means a lot to me. I mean, how many passions do we have? Brian, you started another channel where you were doing photography, because not only do you make YouTube videos, but you're way into cameras, the camera gear, taking it out, going to photo shoots. Talk to me about like what was that like, starting another channel? Did it blow up like your first channel did?
I've never had a channel blow up, so I'm not sure where you got that. Maybe that was.
Wait a minute. Didn't you hit 10,000 subscribers in your first year on this channel? I would argue that is blowing up a channel. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but
I think sometimes we lose perspective. 10,000 subscribers in 1 year is an insane amount. That's from nothing to 10 is a lot.
And I'm glad you stopped me there. And here's the thing I actually wanted to draw attention to, because I think it's critically important for anybody here that's really wanting to make it happen, is somehow we've normalized normalcy of this idea of what it's going to be like and all these views, when it's literally the thing that never happens. Like Daniel just explained how, like, once you hit over 100,000, you're in 0.5%. It's like 250 channels and you're the biggest channel out of 250. And I just think what happens is for some reason we have this disconnect for us, like we're special, we're golden, you know, and then the reality is it's really, really hard. And then sadly, a lot of people, I don't think they focus on what's truly most important, and they struggle. But I think when we can just kind of take a step back and say, okay, this is where I'm at today, like right now today, and the past is just that. And a lot of people, like, I'll make a video in the future, when I hit 170,000 YouTube subscribers, which sounds like, oh, you know, like that'll be easy, but I'm losing a lot of subscribers. And, you know, a lot of people I've been around, I'm not a new flavor on YouTube. I'm the old yesterday's news. And there's some baggage with that, but it doesn't, you know, that there's always pros and there's cons, and I'm a little bit more skilled. And for me, I think, you know, making a video talking about like how to actually revive a channel, because I think I'm the guy that's in the trenches doing it, and you did it too, Daniel, and it's really hard and challenging. But the thing, the biggest thing I've gotten out of this is the moment you look back at what you had is the moment you're really in trouble. And to be fair, Daniel, like I'm going to call you out a few times. Like I looked at your channel. You're like, what are you doing? and but I think, just saying, hey, like this is where my channel's at right now today. And my goal is to do a little bit better tomorrow and to move forward and then to honor that journey, because at the end of the day, and you really talked about this a lot, Daniel, like just honoring the journey and so on. So like when I did start that channel, I did exactly the thing that you recommended, which I focused on something that I was passionate about. So a lot of people want to know, like, well, make a video about how to find a niche. Like, write down a list of the things you do, the skills you have, and think about it in those terms. And for me personally, Daniel, when I started that, it was just more of an outlet. I was still like in the thick of coming out of divorce. I'm kind of dating, but like, God, dating is weird. And I'm just, what's interesting is that when I went through that period, I always had a camera with me. So it's like I'm continuing to shoot photos and shoot video, and then I launched a channel.
You had the camera while you were dating? Is that what? Well, that's for
honestly,
Match.com. Need a good profile pic, right? I think that's Tinder.
But you get the idea. And to be fair, like a lot of the videos I released, they did pretty okay, just because I was passionate about it, And
you were. I can remember you started that photography channel and it was still small and you were already getting written up in magazines, photography magazines, people talking about like, check out this channel. Like this guy has a lot of knowledge. He's got a lot of passion. He's got a lot of insights. And I think that stuff seeps through. I think
exactly
there are inherent things with, people like, Glam Girl Gabby here in the chat. She lived that life. She owned a hair salon. She's been in the industry. She actually was a model. She actually did makeup for models and did weddings. And I mean, she lives in the hair makeup industry for years. So for her to talk about it, is something that it's embedded in her sort of her whole life, and it makes sense. And it's something that she can talk about. And it never comes across as she's faking it or putting it on. It's real opinions that she's gathered over a very long period of time. And she was able to bring that to the platform and then really leverage that. This guy right here, Doug Hewson, right? Doug Hewson's a guy who's had a channel where he sort of tried to find for a lot of years. I remember Doug was in there talking about YouTube. He was talking about how to use software. He was doing a lot of things. But Doug has sort of carved out his own little niche right now as a guy who is very much on top of YouTube, current information, new features, new trends, new things that are going on, what to watch out for, you name it. Like Doug is my go-to guy. Like I like to think of myself in the growth space. I'm very fortunate that like YouTube invites me out once a year to meet with the CEO and the teams developing the products, and I get to talk about that stuff. But like when I need to know about what's happening immediately and I want a large swath of knowledge about what features are going on or what's coming out or what's slowly being rolled out, Doug's my guy. Doug knows more than anybody I know about what's physically happening on the platform right now. And he's created a great little niche. Doug has over 10,000 subscribers now, just finding that focus. And that's what he does really well. And you don't have to get 10 billion views every video to be really good and become a resource and become the kind of creator who has a very loyal following. I'm one of them. I follow Doug. I don't follow Doug because I like Doug. I mean, I do like Doug. I think he's a great guy. But I follow Doug because he's chock full of information and value.
Yeah. And Doug, I wanted to thank you for all you do in the community and the time you put. It's a little ridiculous. But, I know Nick is much better off. Chantel is also in the live stream. If I see her again, I'm going to pin her up to this because we all appreciate what you do. And I just wanted to take a moment and thank you for that. And yeah, Daniel, like I think at the end of the day, the very best niche is the one it has to be about this. And I remember we had a conversation years ago and I kind of like walked away from YouTube. I just didn't have the steam in me. Like I had to reorganize my personal life, I just want to speak to that for a moment. Like if you're in a tough situation in your life personally and you're watching this, just know that it might not be right now today, but if you can stay in the game the best you can. And it's like, somehow I did. like I let this channel go for 8 months. That's not what I would recommend ever. But yet I started another one, and I always was taking photos and learning, and all of those skills. Like I make better videos today technically, and like what I'm like, it's pretty fun. Like on my channel, Daniel, people are like, wow, how did you blur out the background? I've never seen crazy 85 millimeter lenses, f1.8, like multiple cameras, and it sounds hard and it's easy because the more you do anything, the better you get at it, and so on. So I just think having that passion and being excited about something is really the niche you choose, because it gives you an opportunity to really deliver what viewers value, which is authenticity, which is passion, which is excitement, and being able to share, I'm having a crappy day, or things are going well. Like, when we come on here and we show up year after year, it's not always about the views. I think really seeing people come back to your channel again and again, there's a word for that, and it's community. For me, that is the mark of success.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, Mr. H and friends, you keep commenting, and I want to make that video. And Daniel, I want to get your feedback. Like, I think this could be an interesting moment for everyone watching. So I'm trying to grow my channel, and I want to get more views, but I want to be authentic. And Mr. H keeps asking me about, like, how do you blur your background and make a video? And I'm thinking, I want to make that video about bokeh and stuff, but what would you say if I truly want to grow my channel?
Yeah, you and I have had these kind of conversations a million times. I think those things are important, right? Because there's sort of two sides to the conversation, right? There's one side of the conversation that I think is the single most important, is why are you making content and who are you making it for, right? There's this whole, lengthy conversation, like, what are you passionate about? What conversation are you trying to exist in? And then, like, why would someone who doesn't know you watch your content? And that, I think, is 99% of it. That literally 99, if not 99.5% of it. And then there's this other side of it that's sort of a tech side, because, like, if you look at the two of us right now, we have hopefully pretty decent sounding microphones. Hopefully our sets look pretty good. So if we're sitting here talking, hopefully our lighting looks pretty good, and we have a very different look. You've got a very cool look. I've got a very warm look. And we have a thing that we've worked a lot of time to making sure that we can film easily. But I think, it's the old adage of a great guitar player will be great even on a I got to watch my language here, on a crappy guitar. If you give him just an average cheap guitar, a great guitar player is still going to be great. He's still going to be great. Is he going to be a little better on a better, intonated guitar? And but the 99% of it comes from the guy's hands, right? Sure. And I think that's one of the things that I try to think about. Listen, it's always great to improve your look. It's always great to improve your audio. But I've always felt like the audio only has to be good enough that it's acceptable, that it's not distracting, that you hear and you go, that sounds okay. Does it have to be the best audio on YouTube? No. The video only has to be good enough that it serves the purpose for that video. Does it have to be the best video on YouTube? No. I've had videos that have driven, 1 million views in under 2 weeks, and they didn't have the best audio and best video, but what they were talking about was very important to a very specific target audience. And I've had videos that had phenomenal audio, and I edited it great, and the lighting was perfect, and I got everything right. My hair everything was going right. And those videos maybe drove, 30,000 or 40,000 views. And is it all based on production? No, I mean, I think that what people crave is they crave connection. They crave content that challenges them. They crave content that they watch and they go, and they connect with it for a multitude of reasons. So I always say connection is the most important, and all the other stuff, I think it exists. Like part of your conversation when you're trying to help people grow a YouTube channel, it's important to understand how cameras work and maybe how depth of field works in a lens. But those things for you are much like me when I talk about very specific things in one specific video editing software. Is that the most important thing I should teach somebody? No, it's not going to make or break their video editing. But sometimes you need them in your catalog because the conversations we have are large and we've made a lot of videos. And at some points, You know, you need to talk about some of the fringe stuff as well, just to make that video and say, if for the few people who might be interested, you go, yeah, if I've heard about, if it's something that's important to me and enough people have shown interest, I'll make that video, even knowing that it won't do all that well, but I'll make it so I have it there so that when people do ask me, I can link them to the video and go, I'm glad you asked. Let me just send you this way. I've got something I think will help you.
Here's what we're going to do, guys. I'm super excited. Me and Daniel are going to break down a strategy that we've both used multiple times. I'm using it now. Daniel's pretty much using it now, whether he knows it or not. And he kind of knows it. And I want to really have this discussion because it is the way to move the needle on your YouTube channel. And it really kind of plays off the question, which is, you know, should I make a video about creating a blurry background? And right now, for where I'm at, I think the answer is sort of yes. And I'll probably make it. But for you, if you were in my shoes, probably no, because I'm full-time. I've got a certain amount of energy and vigor, piss and vinegar, and I can make a lot of videos and I can turn them out. But the thing I want to talk to you, Daniel, about is this strategy that we've used many times where we really publish our next video based on how our real-time analytics are going. And I just want you to start off with just maybe a short reason as to why this is so powerful, and to get into kind of like what we've done in the past and how anybody can use it regardless of their niche, their age, their experience, and so on. You know what I'm talking about? Hey,
yeah, absolutely. You know what? It goes back to a conversation that you and I had a long time ago, Brian, where you and I said, you know, the biggest competition we have is ourselves. Right? If you're not out there, you shouldn't. People say, when I ask people like, who's your competition on YouTube? They all start listing channels who are making content similar to, you know, their niche or whatever. That's not your competition. Those are just people who happen to have a similar interest or in the same conversation that you talk about. Like, there's plenty of people out there making content. I talk a lot on my channel right now about how to learn how to edit videos with DaVinci Resolve, how to put them onto YouTube, how to grow YouTube channels. But there's lots of people who talk about editing with DaVinci Resolve, even before I ever got into the conversation. And I invite those people on my channel. They're not my competition. I see them as people who just enjoy their compatriots. They're people who enjoy the same conversation that I enjoy talking about here on YouTube. My real competition is me. Every day I get up and I look at how can I do better this month than I did the month before. And when you and I were back in about 2019, we both got on a roll. You were, I think at that point, now remind me if I get this wrong, it's been a minute. I think that was my first big year push. I think I had hit 17,000 subscribers in my first year.
Wow.
And I was going to, and I said, I want 100,000 by the end of my second year. So I got into this, like, I needed motivation. It gave me reason to get up every morning. And you at that point, and you're going to have to remind me where that fell. I think you were at 50. Yeah, we'll have to look back. And you were bigger than I was, but you were trying to get, did you already? Yeah, I think you were trying to get to the silver play button. You were closer. So we had these different goals of when we were going to hit what. I was trying to get to maybe 17. I wanted to break 10 by the end of my first year because you were my hero and you had done it. So I was trying to make sure I could do that. So we got up every day and we were like, we talked, I swear to God, almost every day. We would be like messaging, talking, going back and forth. What do you think? What do you think of this? Bouncing ideas. Even though we were doing completely different channels, we were bouncing ideas. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? Does this make sense? And we would sort of be sounding boards for each other's, we were like, like pen pals for YouTube. And like, what do you think? Does this sound stupid? And we helped hone each other's, craft and keep ourselves honest, and we both crushed it that year. But your specific examples, what do you think about those like real-time views and things like that?
Yes.
We had this strategy where we started looking at, well, let's set a goal. Like, pick your goal. You know how YouTube would show you like 48-hour views. If you open up the dashboard of YouTube, it shows you how many views you've gotten in 48 hours. We would watch that 48 hours of the view cycle, and we would set markers based on our own performance. It wasn't based on some number from another channel, but we go, okay, wherever you are now, this is what I consider a strong number. And when it started to grow, what we would do is we would go back and go, okay, we're going to publish, but there's a perfect, hold that right there. See how the blue's going up, 48 out, right? We would look at these views and we would go, hey, why don't we publish? Why don't we get that number going up? And we watch the 48-hour views. And if it kept climbing, we wouldn't drop another video. And then the minute we saw like that started rolling off and going back down, we drop another video. And we came up with this weird, it was sort of, we didn't like plan it out. We kind of talked about it and we started doing it, and it started working. Was always keep the momentum of the channel going. If that means that a video dropped today and it got real good momentum, the whole channel started growing for the next 4 or 5 days, we wouldn't drop another video on either of our, if depending on who it was, during that 4 or 5 days. We'd let the runners run, and we started calling them runners. We would call each other and go, I think I've got a runner, and it would start moving the channel and everything else. Because when you have one good video on your channel and you've got enough content there, it's the rising tide lifts all ships. All your other content would start doing well too, because YouTube is looking for more content to serve to people who watch that video. And we were watching, and the minute we start seeing the momentum dip off, we drop another video. So we were always making content, but when we would release it was based on that momentum, like kind of like driving a car. If you're driving really fast and then you start going downhill, you can lay off the gas. The car's going super fast. You don't have to hit the gas that much. But if you got to the point where it needed more, it started slowing down, then you lean into the gas. And that silly strategy got us both past all of our goals during 2019.
Yeah, and that's exactly, I'm glad you broke it down on a tactical level. So here's the best time to publish for me personally is when I'm done with a video and I can release it, and I'm not waiting until Wednesday, because it releases the pressure and the overthinking, and I'm kind of already moving forward on my next video. And then what we were doing, like you said, we really had this thing dialed in where we just pay attention. Brian, how do you find the real-time views? Just open up the Studio app, and then you're on the dashboard. You click Analytics, and there we go. So if you just kind of scroll down, right, you'll just kind of see it.
I think it's at the very bottom, right?
Yeah.
On mobile.
Yeah, you just scroll down, and then you kind of, it's a little bit. Let's see. There you go.
There you go.
Real time. That's at the
See,
bottom.
that says real time. Yeah. And now look at Brian's number right there. What's your real time 48-hour number right now? 6,000. Was that just 6,000 views?
I just hit 6,024 views. And here's the thing. There are some heavy hitters right now in this live stream, and it doesn't matter at all for where you're at. It doesn't matter how many views I have. What matters is your ability to stay grounded in what I shared earlier. And that's your ability to honor your journey, not mine. And it took me so long. How would you like to be best pals with Nick Nimmin? And you both start off with 2,000 subscribers, you know? Like, Nick has this innate ability to communicate really well on camera. It's not too in-depth. It's not too technical. And yet it really... he shares such incredible information. And I had to personally go through this journey where it's like, you know, it was hard to see him exploding, and I'm grinding away trying to make it work. But I got to a point and I'm like, you know, why are you doing this to yourself? A lot of people show up to your live streams, they buy your products. You're always asked to speak at the events. Like, when is it enough? And if you're just getting started, you might be saying right now, oh, but like, you're still doing it. And the thing is like, me and Daniel, we're seasoned YouTubers, and this is our full-time job, and we're knuckleheads extreme, you know? So I just want to encourage you just to really lean into the basic fundamentals and just honor your own journey, because at the end of the day, like, the juice is in the journey. So, but this idea of just like looking at your analytics and saying, oh, my real-time views are dropping, it's time to upload again. And I think right now, you know, it's interesting. If you look in the niche of YouTube growth, like, a lot of big channels, they publish videos like at an insane rate. When I started, Think Media was Sean Cannell. Now it's like he's got an army of people publishing videos, 3 people, full-time content creators. Their job is to make another video. And I know they do other things, but you get the idea. And then you have vidIQ. It's the same exact thing. It's like this group of people. And if you're just getting started, it's like, well, gosh, how do I compete against that? Easy. You lean in and you be you, the best you possible, not anybody else. And I think the more you can honor that and just hone that, the more people will connect with you. And then at that point, there is no other niche, because the only place people can get your content is on your channel. So
that's, you see, there's something there, Brian, that I think is easily overlooked by a lot of smaller channels. And we have all been smaller channels. We all started out at zero, right? All of us. Every one of us started at zero. And I think that when you say like, well, how do I compete against that? There's the thing is you shouldn't be, I never think about competing against other channels. I really don't. I think about, my example has always been, what's your conversation, right?
Yeah.
You could argue all day long that on my channel, I lean into more about teaching people how to edit videos with specific softwares. That's changed over time, what the software might be, or sometimes I lean a little bit more into the YouTube growth end of it, but it's really making videos, put them on YouTube, grow YouTube channels. That's what you're probably going to get at my channel. Your channel is much more into the idea of what you need to do to think about growing a YouTube channel, and what it's more introspective to content creators, specifically YouTubers, and understanding and how to get past some of the pitfalls and sort of changing your mindset into a mindset of being successful so that you can become successful. But one of the things that's interesting is, as you just said that, is like, how do I compete against a channel that might be in my niche? You don't. If you walked up to a table full of people that all had the same interest as you, forget about YouTube. Forget about YouTube for a minute. Say that interest, in my case, is video editing. And I walked up to a bunch of people who were all talking about video editing, and I bellied up to the table. The very last thing I would try to do is outshine anyone at that table and make them look stupid, because they'll look at me like, you're a jerk. Like, what are you doing? Why are you, it's not a competition. We're having a conversation. And another thing I wouldn't do is I wouldn't start repeating things they've already said. I wouldn't try to just be them. I would try to figure out, what do I bring to that conversation? What, we all love this thing that we're talking about, but what makes me unique? What is my perspective that gets even people who may have the similar interest and may have years of experience in whatever that conversation is, stop and go, oh, that's an interesting take. I hadn't thought about it that way. That's what I think about when it comes to building channels. Like when you're trying to be unique, listen, John Lennon said, there's nothing you can sing that ain't been sung, right? So you have to think about, well, don't try to write a song that no one's ever written and it's so unique and different, using chords that's, forget A through G. This is the key of, F sharp seventh minor Z plus, like, just, there's tools there. You're gonna make content. There's always gonna be some other channel that's making content that's similar to what you're making. Just make sure you understand, like, what makes you unique? What makes you you? What do you bring to that conversation that makes people go, oh, you know what? I'm interested in that too. And I saw this guy talking about it. He had a kind of a neat take, or he kind of brought it about in a different way that just made me think a little bit differently. The minute you can do that, that's where you can start. And that's really learning how to be a better you, not trying to compete against those other people, but compete against yourself and go, I can do better. I can bring more to the table. I can be more valuable to this conversation. And when you can embrace that, like Brian does, I mean, Brian, you said you stopped publishing for, 8 months, came back to his channel, and he had to think about, how am I going to do this again, where I'm not just doing all the stuff that I've already done on the channel? How do I re-engage with this conversation in a way that gets people here and talking again? And that really is, I think it's a voyage of self-discovery, of really finding your own passion and what you bring to the conversation. Should be so much more important than, should I publish short? Should I publish long form? Should I make live stream? People care less about that. They care more about authenticity, passion. What is it you're talking about? And if they connect with that.
Yeah, fantastic. If anybody has a question for Daniel, feel free to leave it in the comments. Now, Alex, I really appreciate you, brother. Good to see you. I know you work with
Alex.
Daniel and myself, and you've been in the community. You're doing fantastic. It's great to see all the old school YouTubers coming out and supporting the stream. Looks like we have a couple questions here. We are pivoting away from live streams every Monday night and dropping videos instead in order to hopefully build watch hours. Is that a good idea in your opinion? Go ahead, Daniel.
You're asking the wrong guys. What you should be asking is, does the target audience you're trying to reach seem to connect with your content in the way you make it? I don't, it's not like live streams suddenly do something that long forms won't do, or short form does something that, they all have their unique characteristics, but it's really about how effective you are in using that content type. I don't care if the content is short, if it's long, if it's live. Content is content. What you really should focus on what's getting people excited. I would be testing stuff and say, if we've been doing a lot of live streams and they're not connecting, then I have to think about, am I not presenting the things that I want to present in a live stream in a way that's making people want to watch more? Should I lean into something that could be more effective to reach more people? I will say in general, live streams are one of the harder things to grow because they do rely a bit on serving people who may kind of already know who you are. But that being said, you can build great live streams. I have live streams that have just as many views as some of my other videos. I've got live streams that have driven 60, 70, 80,000 views in the replay because I built them for the replay, not only in the moment. So think about what is it you think will really serve the needs of your target audience and how you can best communicate with them, and then find the right blend of different types of content. You say, like, maybe I could do a better job of reaching people, and then make the content and see what starts connecting. Each of us as a creator, we're like musicians, right? Like, listen, you could hand the same song, right, to Metallica and Taylor Swift. You could have like the best written song and go, bring in, 10 of the greatest, popular metal, you name the country singers, bring them all in, give them the same song and go, here's the sheet music, here's the lyrics, here's the song, go record it and come back. Guaranteed 10 different top artists would give you 10 different songs that sound not much like each other because they all have their interpretation of how they're going to present that song. We are the same as creators. The way we create is our own signature thing. So when we talk about a conversation, it may feel different to the way we present it, the way we approach it, even if it's something someone else has talked about. So really think about working on being the best delivery that you can for your style and what connects when you say it, what really works with your audience. That's where I would put more focus. And if that's long form, then do more long form. If it's live streams are working, then do more live streams. But I like a good mix. I like trying to follow and test and see the data and think about it a little more, top of the funnel. I like a nice mix of different types of content.
Yeah, I think that's important too. The thing I would add is just like, what do you really like creating? I really love long form videos. When I started moving forward with YouTube, I was just watching a lot of filmmakers and how they like filmed and captured and imagery. And so that just kind of puts me in more of a long form content space. Now, it doesn't mean like there's a good chance I'll do more shorts in the future. But right now, like I said, when I came back and think about this, like I focused on long form video for about 13 months, maybe 14 months. And now I'm starting to go live on a regular basis. And this is the thing I would say for anybody striving to grow is you want to make it easy for you to come up with a simple solution that's what is it? It's a simple, sustainable. I wrote that in the new book the other day. Like, it's got to be sustainable. Someone else just posted like, oh, we got this show and we're making these videos and there's 3 people. Like, wow, that sounds really, really complicated. I mean, if that's what you want to do, then you should do that. But if you're doing that because you want to grow, then I think there's a big disconnect there for me personally. Because for me, I always start as, well, how do I spend my time? Because I didn't want to be an entrepreneur 25. Like when I was a kid, I didn't think about being an entrepreneur because I wanted to create a job for myself. I wanted to do something that I was really, really excited about. Michael says after 500 videos, it still takes me about an hour to edit per minute of video. It seems slow. I'm still on iMovie and I'm ready to upgrade if it would help. I mean, here's the thing for me personally, and Daniel's the resident editing expert, is I think there's a lot of power in what you know and understand. I use Final Cut and I don't see any reason why I should switch. If you want to upgrade to Final Cut to get more functionality, awesome. The thing I would say too is like, one of the things I've been a big advocate for a long time is just understanding what is truly essential. And you don't need the other stuff. You don't. And you can spend the time if that's how you view success. If you love editing for 20 hours, and I used to spend that. And once in a while, I still will. And I know Daniel does the same. Because once in a while, you want to make a mark and you want to like say, look what I did. I'm a big YouTuber. Yeah. I made this cool video, and you do it for yourself because it's like Malroy said, great mountain climber. And they said, well, why did he climb the mountain? And he said, well, it's there, you know? So he did the thing he wanted to do. So the thing I would say is like, really think about what you're trying to achieve. And I mean, all I do lately is I cut off the beginning and the end, any bad takes, and that's about it. I'm back to doing multicam, which I really like because I get to use an 85 millimeter and really blow out the background. And again, you see, I'm doing it not to do multicam. I don't give a crap about multicam. I'm doing it because I can't film an entire video at 85 millimeters when it's this close to my face. It's going to be weird. But I just think, you know, really trying to strip down your video production, making it manageable, because once you have that base, then you can slowly add things as you see fit, whether it's for strategy to grow or for you because it's the thing you got to do because you're a weird creative and our brains are funny. You know what I mean? What do you think?
And you know, don't gloss over what he just told you there, Michael. I don't know what your channel is, Michael Saves. I off the top of my head, I don't want to guess what that channel might be. It could be a million things, but what Brian just told you is production. A lot of times, what you're talking about is post production, right? It takes me a long time to edit my video. I would be asking, well, why is that? Are you doing something in production that's setting yourself up for a really arduous workflow in post-production? Because if you go, well, wait, why is it taking me so long? It doesn't take a long, if your audio sounds great when you bring it into your video editing software, or your app, if your video looks great, if you didn't take 90 takes to get the one line right, then it should be fairly quick to assemble, to do the basic cuts. So if it's taking you a long time to get the basic cuts done, then ask yourself, what can I do in production while I'm filming so that I don't have to wrestle with that as much when I get into the editing process? Work on being a better creator in the production process to make the post-production easier. And then think about all the things you are adding that Brian just said. Do you need all the fancy stuff to go along with that edit? Is it really helping you connect with people? Are there videos that show you, yeah, when I put a lot more time into these video edits, I'm getting 100, 200, 300,000 views as opposed to 10,000 views? Or are they all kind of sitting about the same place and you get a few more, 100 less, 100 more? Focus on the thing that's really connecting with people, which is usually the conversation. It's the topic, you know, what you're there to talk about, and what your opinion, what your view is, what you're bringing to it, what your angle is, what it is you're building, the value of that content. Much more powerful than trying to get every cut perfect. Don't kill yourself on that. Focus on the flow and the presentation. Get it to the point where someone goes, man, I started watching this video and I couldn't stop, not because it was super fancy, but I got down the rabbit hole and you just kept me engaged.
Yeah, exactly. Daniel, I want to be mindful. What does your timeline look like?
I've got a little bit of time. I'm not rushing out of here. I've got a little time.
All right. So a couple comments and whatnot. So when I started, I used a phone, and those videos drove hundreds of thousands of views. There are a ridiculous amount of YouTubers right now using phones, and they're crushing it because literally Daniel just broke it down. And literally, check this out, Daniel. My wife and I, we go out, and it was so fun. I was creating these incredible shots, the Boca, the city skyline. We're driving all over downtown. We're worried for the safety of our lives because we're in sketchy towns, but sure looks good.
Well, that's important, I guess.
And, you know, I released this video, and a lot of people said, wow, that was beautiful, and that bokeh. So they noticed, and that means a lot. But that video drove 1,000 views. Videos I'm dropping now, I'm honed in. I know the topics. I understand what matters. I know the tonality. I know whether I need to be empathetic. I need to come at people hard. I can point fun at myself. Like, I understand to a degree. I'm still learning, but like, the bottom line is like, when you focus on that over the GoPro or the iPhone, that's the moment you'll truly be on the path. Like, a lot of people aren't really on the path yet, sadly. Like, you have to decide, number one, I'm going to do it. Number two, I'm going to really focus on what matters the most. Use this until it bugs you, and then spend money and buy a camera or a GoPro or whatever. It doesn't, like, whatever you want to do. Daniel, this is a super chat question. Views constantly good, but stuck at around 140,000 subscribers for a long time. In your study, what's the biggest difference between a 140,000 creator and a 400,000 subscriber creator?
I've been there myself, where you hit sort of these plateaus. One of the things that I try to always tell myself is, and I work with a lot of creators trying to coach them into content strategy. It always comes down to content strategy. Think about it this way. If, you know, how many amazing television series have been, you know, on that we've seen over the years, MASH, Friends, Seinfeld, right? There's all these shows that were hits for a certain period of time until they weren't. And yes, someone like Seinfeld took himself off the air because he felt he had reached the conclusion of where he could take that series. It made sense and he had done enough. But there are television series that we've watched that were great at one point and then lost their luster. And you go, why couldn't they just make series and episodes? You know, why can't Game of Thrones go on for 10 million years? And the reality is that if you don't change, if you don't keep it fresh, if there isn't something new, your audience will finally start to thin out, because you can't keep serving them the same thing over and over again without expecting them at some point to reach saturation and go, yeah, kind of, this was kind of last year. Especially if you're a channel like us, like Brian and I have been doing this for a lot of years. You know, his channel's older than mine is, but I've been doing this for 7 years, and the average lifespan of a creator on YouTube, according to our pal Matt Koval, is 5 to 7 years. So you really have to think about, what am I doing now? And it can't just be like, well, my camera's clearer, my audio's better. It has to be a new angle and a new approach, and you have to keep reinventing what you do and coming back to the conversation in a fresh and exciting way, so that you're not just repeating the same stuff that you were doing 2 years ago. The fastest way to plateau is to keep putting up the same stuff that you're pretty much been putting up for the last year or two and don't change anything. And you'll end up with that glass ceiling effect, where you put it out, it reaches the people who are sort of your super fans, but it stops reaching new people and it stops engaging new viewers and bringing new people to your conversation, because it's a little tired, it's a little worn out. So the biggest thing I would say to you is, you know, think about how you can reapproach what you're doing from a different angle in a different way, and getting people excited about the conversation, getting yourself excited about the conversation in a way that brings freshness to it, that makes it feel new, that makes it feel different, that doesn't feel like, it's the same stuff he's been putting out for the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's a really great way to think about it. And I love your answer, Daniel. Like, it's important to evolve, you know, on so many levels, like for the audience, but, you know, what about yourself? You know I get really bored making the same kind of videos. And I think that's something I struggled with towards the end. But then, you know, personally, things were just an absolute wreck, which I think there needs to be a certain kind of headspace to make it work on YouTube. And the second thing to think about is, I think it's really important to come at it from a place of, like, you have to come first before the audience. And you might, in fact, Daniel, let's talk about this. It's interesting. Do you remember the last time we spoke, Daniel? It wasn't a live stream. It was just you and me.
Just talking in general?
Yeah. Well, we jumped on a call, and
yeah.
How did that go? What was that like?
Well, it was painful. Every time I talk to you, it's painful.
Here's
well, that's not the answer on it. That's what we do. You and I have conversations where they usually go one way or the other. Usually I'm reaching out to you to go, hey, I want your input on something. And we just sort of start talking about direction and where we're at. But even with you, the last time we talked was, you know, you've reached out a few times thinking about your channel, and you're you know, that we're very lucky to have a group of friends, myself, you, Nick, Roberto Blake, Dee Nimmin, some people who are really great that you can reach out to and sort of bounce ideas off of. For me, Gabby, Glam Go Gabby, who was in here earlier, like people who are out there doing it, but have different perspectives that you can sort of say, what do you think? What do you see that I'm not seeing? Because the one thing I will tell you is we are, and I'm going to include myself, and Brian, I won't speak for him, but I know for myself, I am the worst, as good as I am at figuring out what other channels might need to be doing. I'm probably the worst when it comes to my own, because I'm so close to it that it's very hard for me to pull my face back and see the forest for the trees, which is why I'm very lucky to have people like Brian. I can reach out and I can go, just tell me what you see. And what do you, and he'll just talk to me. Like he can't offend me. He can say, I hate this. I don't like this. I may not agree with everything he says. I might totally agree with some things he says, but it's perspective. Trying to find perspective on the thing you do is usually what our conversations lean into more often than not. And then, what's going on in our personal lives and how you've been kind of stuff.
Paul Goya, I brought this conversation up with me and Daniel because I was at this point where I was just kind of really struggling, you know what I mean? And I was like wanting to scratch that itch and trying to figure out this new direction. And it's there's a reason why, artists end up with lopped off ears and they go insane. And it's like, it's hard to create something when it's so personal and it matters so much. And I think for most YouTubers that reach over 100,000 YouTube subscribers, that matters a lot. And in the moment when we're in it, it can be a whirlwind. And I was in this place where I was just like really struggling to try to get that thing moving again. And like literally what's so interesting is a lot of the ideas I spoke about, Daniel was like, oh, I'm not sure. And I just felt so stuck, and it was really a painful conversation. But what happened is I took what Daniel said and I sat on it and I processed it, and he's in my inner circle. Everybody here needs an inner circle. And you don't have to even know the person. You can watch their channel, but you need to have people that you trust. You need to have people that have good ideas, that have done the thing you want to do. And what happened was I ended up kind of making these videos in a way that I had envisioned, but I made them for my own channel and I didn't deviate. And they weren't perfect, but you know what? It's interesting. Like I created some videos I'm really proud of. They're outdoors, there are tons of angles, they're super hard to make, and they look damn good. And again, that's really important. And then I started doing it again and again, and I learned a lot. And I'm like, next time I go on a road trip, it needs to be this because I had done it once. And it's funny because at the time I had to get out of this cave down here because I make so many videos. Like it can feel completely overwhelming when you're putting so much work in it. But yet I didn't stop, and I'm just trying to find a new angle, Well,
there's the thing is, we say angle like we throw it away, but that angle, the whole idea of angle is really about approaching a conversation, right? It really is. For those of people who don't know me here, I've done a lot of coaching with a lot of different channels over the years, all different sizes, people who haven't even started yet, who book time with me to sit and try to think about how they can accelerate, hit the ground running. And I've worked with some of the biggest channels on the platform, movie stars, television stars, soap opera stars, musicians, you name them. I've worked with them. I worked with one of the sharks on Shark Tank, and his channel was tanking. And is that a pun? No pun intended. He was Shark Tanking. He could not get the thing moving. And he's like, this guy's like a billionaire, or multi-millionaire. And he's like, I sat with his team. They're like, we can't figure out why this isn't working. And it was a matter of just thinking about what they were doing, right? And I had to stop and I could pull your head back. I looked at his channel, and he was basically doing like a Shark Tank greatest hits, right? It was all like the greatest moments of Shark Tank. Yeah. And I was like, they already have a Shark Tank channel. They have a show, and they have a channel that already does this. Yeah. So what is it? Why would someone watch you separated from that and want to listen to what you had to say? Why would they come and watch your content? I can get Shark Tank stuff all the time. I can get it on TV. I can get it on the Shark Tank channel. And I had to convince him that, listen, people want to know things that they can't get there. Take it deeper. I want to know, if I was sitting with you, I would ask you questions like, all right, tell me about the 3 deals, like the top 3 deals that you put a ton of money into that you wish you had walked away from because you lost your shirt. What went wrong? Show me all the stuff that doesn't happen on camera. Talk to me about, deals that someone else, one of the other sharks, won that you thought sucked, and it ended up turning to be one of the greatest investments for one of the other sharks on the panel. Give me all the stuff behind the scenes. Give me all the stuff I can't get from Shark Tank. That's why I'll watch your content. And when I started getting him to do that, his channel started blowing up because it gave people the next link, the next layer, the thing they didn't have, the ability to get to know that well-known personality even more. And that was able to really kick off the channel. Of course, then trying to get the guy and his team to actually produce content, it's come to find out it's very hard to get an extremely rich person to sit down and film frequently when they're developing a million businesses at once. But yeah, that's just those simple things of just reapproaching and rethinking about your angle. What do you bring into this conversation? It could be the exact same conversation, but approach it from a different way that gives people something that they haven't seen, that feels fresh, that feels new.
Yeah, and there you go. And it's interesting because it's like after that conversation with Daniel, like in the next week, I published about a week or two, I published about 3 videos that did really, really well. So anybody struggling, like it always happens. Like sometimes I wonder, like, man, do I have another hit inside me? Like I can imagine being a pop star or, always wanting to be in the limelight. Those that like movies, Moneyball with Brad Pitt, and they hire the really famed black dude that's on his kind of last few legs, and he's trying to stay in the limelight, and it's hard to stay there. But for me, I think it was just a matter of getting a new perspective and then just, changing it up. And I didn't worry about the views that much. I just made videos I wanted to make, but I honored the same core topics and messages. And that was a pivot, and I think if you're trying to figure it out, that's a really, really good way to move forward, because if you're always doing the same thing, you're probably going to always get the same result. Anyway, so, it's been a lot of fun. If you guys have more questions for Daniel or myself, and Daniel, you'll just let me know when it's time to leave. We've been rolling now for 90 minutes. And I just want to encourage anybody that really wants YouTube success. The biggest thing I can do for you personally is just share, like, it's your title, it's your topic, it's how you break out your video. And then think about, Daniel, this is fun. For the new book, I had this chapter, value proposition, and I kind of hated that. Like, I think it's a good thing, but it's really old. And now I have like your watchability and your unique style, which I think that highlights your own individual, unique, style and so on. And I think these are the kind of things to lean into, which sadly is also a lot of the things that people try to lean away from. It's scary to put yourself out there. It's scary to put yourself on camera or to create your own voiceover. But I really want to encourage anybody here to really focus on the things the viewer would really value. And as you're watching videos, you can ask yourself, why am I still watching? What is it about this woman or this man and how they craft and create videos that keeps me engaged and coming back? And I think the more we can honor that, the more we're truly on that path I mentioned.
Well, that's one of the biggest things that creators wrestle with. If you ask a creator what their channel is about, they start, giving you lots of words, right? If you say, like, well, what's your channel about? Well, I'm a gamer. I have a cooking channel. I have a sewing channel.
I make funny videos.
I make fun, right? But if you ask people, why would someone watch your videos as opposed to all of the other videos they might be served when they open up YouTube? They struggle with that. That's the biggest point of contention I see creators struggle with, because they say things like, because I'm funny, and they say all these things that I go, that's awesome. But how would I know that until I've watched a video? What makes me, if I've never seen your content before, your channel before, and you pop up on YouTube, I don't know that you're funny. I mean, maybe. Have you presented humor in the packaging? What's going to make me stop and watch your video if I have no idea who you are? And then once I click and I start watching, what's going to not only get me watching to the end, but what's going to make me go, I can't wait to see another video from this creator? That's the real challenge. And it's not how slick your camera looks and how cool your audio is, or how many transitions you put in, or how many cool lights you have in the background of your set. It really comes down, because we've seen so many channels of people out on the street with their phones and crushing it on YouTube because they're connecting with people. So it really comes down to understanding who you're making content for and why they would want to watch not only this video, but the next video and the video after that that you make, because we're trying to get people invested in you as a creator.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I like kind of like watchability in your own style. And if you're wrestling with that right now, it's because it's hard. But the thing I do know is the moment you just kind of take a step forward and you say, that's a really great question. And that's it. Leave it. Make a video today. Stay on the path, and over time, what'll happen is you'll start to develop that, especially if you're on camera and or you're creating your own voiceover. But like Daniel, we both get these kind of comments from people. Oh, I make funny videos.
Yeah, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Like, oh, really? But you don't have any views? Maybe they're not very funny.
Yeah, are they right? And when they tell you that, and then you come to find out, is it a comedy channel? And they go, no. And then I go, well, what does it matter if you're funny or not? Right? Like, why was that the thing you told me? If you're not a comedy channel and you're not planning to be a comedian, then why do I care if you're funny? That's delivery. That's not the content. That's how you might be delivering the content. And maybe you're humorous and you're funny along the way, but it ignores the very thing, right? Who do you, it's like saying, hey, listen, who were some of your favorite teachers in school? You'll be able to remember the great teachers and those ones who were able to teach you things like math and science. And what did you like about them? And listen, school is one of those things where they have millions of teachers across the planet who are all teaching. It's not that math is that different or, history or science. It's consistent. It's the same thing that people are teaching in Oklahoma as they're teaching in 5th grade in California. So why is it that some teachers are better at it than others? And it's how they communicate and connect and present that conversation and get people who were there invested in the process. That's the big difference. It's not, so it's, yes, definitely what you're talking about, but delivery is just one half of it. You have to make sure that the thing that you're talking about is something they'd be interested in to begin with. I don't care how great an insurance salesman you are. You're not going to get me to sit through an hour and a half insurance seminar. I'll be out. I'll be like, I'm good. I don't care how clever you are. I got to go. I'm out. That's not something I'm interested in right now.
Yeah, that's such a great point, and it's really important, and it's hard to figure out, and that's why Steve Martin spent 10 years polishing his comedy act, and then on year 12 he's playing Madison Square Garden wearing a white suit so the people up in the bleachers could actually see him, and he had such a presence, and he had polished all these jokes, and I think it's interesting to really think about that. It's like everybody here has a unique skill and ability and a way they communicate or not, and the more we can honor that, and just the way you get good at that is just to publish more videos. And Jason, there's too many Jasons in your comment, but I saw Jason Moffat. I'd love to have him on the live stream, and I just wanted to welcome you. I appreciate you've been getting a lot of good help and content, comments and whatnot. I don't know what I'm saying right now, but anyway, welcome. So insurance is out. What about a bridge?
Hey man, listen, if you've got a great bridge story, if you're a bridge channel, is it Bridge the card game or bridges like, building them across open waterways?
Anybody have a question? I'd love to take some more questions and whatnot. Here's what I know. Like those people that really, one of the things you said, Daniel, this is a great way to wrap this up is, you get out of YouTube what you put in. Mm-hmm. Simple, easy to understand. Catherine, and I'm so glad you commented, Catherine, because I've seen you right now, and I've noticed, and it looks like you're publishing to your community tab, and you're staying consistent. And you said you're trying to do all the things, and that's really great. And I am too right now. And I've been at this, man, for too long.
Yeah,
but
me too.
At a certain point, like you will take a step back, and it'll kind of a little bit, maybe you'll kind of relax into it. And it's kind of an up and down kind of journey for me personally. And I just want to say that, recovering perfectionist.
That's one. There's a big one, right? Hey, Catherine, replace the word perfectionist in your vocabulary. There is no such thing as perfection, especially when it comes to YouTube. Brian and I have made hundreds of videos collectively, and neither of us have been able to make a perfect video. I don't think a perfect video exists. What you can do is try to make the best video that you can make about the thing that you're talking about, in that given time frame with what you have in front of you. That's exactly it. It's no different than preparing dinner. There's some times where you've got some great stuff in your fridge and you've got all the time in the world to make a fancy dinner for your, your loved ones and your family. And there's sometimes you're like, this is what I got. It's going to be mac and cheese. I'm just going to make great mac and cheese the best I can tonight. Let's get it out. Let's get it done quickly. Just try to do the best you can with where you're at. And make sure every time you do it with passion. Just do it with passion. Forget about perfection. Passion and authenticity means so much more.
Yeah, boy, that is such great advice. Like the way you broke it down, my friend, is exactly what I would say too. Like there has to be a deadline. And the fact of the matter is, honestly, you can go past it a little bit. But if you're always doing that, or if one of you right now is watching and you're like, oh, I really should be doing more as far as I need to start publishing on a regular basis, or I'm trying to be perfect. Like there's just too many things. It's impossible to theorize your way to YouTube success because you'll have everything dialed in except for the thing you don't. And you didn't turn off the thermostat. And then the air conditioning kicks on and the audio sucks. And then you try to export the audio because AI is amazing. But it turns out it's not. And you spend hours trying to fix the thing. And then you move forward on the next video and then something else happens. And it's just a constant struggle to improve the technical details, but it turns out that's not really the thing, as Daniel really has broken down a number of times, and I've tried to share too. It's like Maya Angelou said, people won't remember what you did. People won't remember what you said, but people will always remember how you made them feel. So the moment you can get in touch with that and just be yourself, and show up and make the best video you can in the time allotted, perfect. And once in a while, you swing for the fences, and some days it's a goddamn peanut butter sandwich, and maybe that's okay.
Yep.
And like when we approach it as like, I'm going to be a great YouTuber, you've got a lot of time. If you're 60 years old, you got plenty of time to make that happen. You might
and I can tell everybody here, Brian and I included, the one thing that I can tell you all successful YouTubers have in common is they didn't stop creating. They didn't give up. They allowed themselves to keep creating even when everything in their bones said, I don't want to make anything today. I'm getting tired. I feel like I'm not getting where I want to be. The most successful creator on the platform, Mr. Beast, had years where if in the same time, it took him years, he was making videos. Brian and I both crushed him in terms of initial growth because it took him forever to find his groove.
Who was that? I'm sorry, Daniel.
Mr. Beast. I think Mr. Beast I can't remember how many thousands. I had the count at one point. He made thousands of videos, and he didn't hit 100,000 subscribers. And he just kept putting out videos and videos and videos, hundreds anyway. And it was all these. He was like a gamer, and he was trying to find his groove. It took him so much longer. If you compared from the very first day he started, both Brian and I were more successful from the get-go than Mr. Beast was. Now, the guy found his groove, and he, was able to capitalize on it and find what he did well and tweak what he did. And he went from he was a gamer to now he's got, one of the biggest channel on YouTube. So it's really about not giving up, staying in the fight, and not being afraid to reassess what you're doing and come at it and, and thinking, what can I do better? What can I do different? Because that's what it is. All great creators didn't give up. Very few creators start creating and in their first year of having a YouTube channel are suddenly the biggest thing in the world. It's very, very rare. Most creators who are doing well have been doing it for a lot of years and have had all of those moments that we're talking about here. Making crappy videos, thinking about it, being a perfectionist, trying to get your audio right, thinking about, why does my background look crappy and I want to look like this? All those things we all go through. But their moment of zen is when they really start figuring out how to be themselves, how to be the best version of themselves, and start talking to people who share similar interest or might be interested in the kinds of things that they want to talk about.
Yeah, all day long. And it just goes like the thing I shared earlier. And this is hopefully the legacy message for me on YouTube is like, it's 10 things. If you focus on those 10 things, what you can do in 1 year is incredible. Have a niche. I'm sorry, you might not want one. You're probably not good enough not to have one. That's probably the truth. If you're Mr. Beast, okay. If you're Casey Neistat, okay, but he's been filming, before YouTube. So It's like if you can just focus on having a niche, creating a compelling title, making a good enough thumbnail. My thumbnails these days are screen captures, because what really matters is the compelling message that gets people to click. You know, title, thumbnail, average view duration. What kind of video editing software? The one that works for you. Alexander mentions motion graphics. How long does it take? Camera and lighting easy. No, it's not. You just don't, you're just not interested in camera and lighting, my friend.
or it's not a hurdle for you. Maybe you just set up and it already looks good, and you go, oh, I like the way things look. I don't have an issue there. I'm able to achieve that goal quickly. Motion graphics. Let me ask you this, my friend Alexander. How many videos did you watch specifically on YouTube in the last week that you went, the reason I'm watching these channels is because of their motion graphics? I bet you that number, there might be a few that you go, oh, there's a couple of some, I'm into editing, so I watch a few channels who have cool editing styles. But most of the stuff you watch leisurely, like how many motion graphics were in the greatest movies of all time? I don't think you, don't get so focused on motion graphics that you miss the most important part of it, which is really connecting with the people that you're trying to reach. That's way more important than whatever motion graphics you have to worry about.
Unless, of course, your channel is about motion graphics.
It's teaching people how to do motion graphics, then it's really important.
Here's the thing to think about, right? Again, the 10 things, just focus on those. And if you want to have, I've had a lot of graphics, Daniel has too. They're built into your video editor. Get a good video editor, get DaVinci, get Final Cut Pro, get Premiere. Like someone mentioned, oh, DaVinci is free, great, but there's a paid upgrade. And if you use DaVinci, you might end up buying it. Yeah. You might end up getting Final Cut Pro because you're on an Apple and it's an easier transition from iMovie to Final Cut. But you know what? Your viewers don't freaking care. They don't care.
Yeah. How many motion graphics does Joe Rogan use in a given podcast?
Yeah, hardly any. Like my videos right now, dude, like there's hardly any. Like once in a while, I'll put some really just subtle kind of things. But like if you want to do that, do it. But you don't need to, in my opinion, you just get a good editing software. Like right now, I'm envisioning, oh, Lord help me. I think I want to go anamorphic. And that'll be like, that's what we need to do now is go anamorphic.
Oh boy. Now see, I know what we're going to talk about next time you call me. You're going to be crying like, why did you stop me? When I said anamorphic, you should have said no.
But you know, the way to do it is just to start off with some nice templates for Final Cut Pro or DaVinci and get a letterbox and use a standard camera. Make sure the lenses have autofocus. Get some simple titles you can drop in, and you don't have to spend time on motion graphics. It's built into the video editing. And if you haven't done that yet, if you're not really spending time with basic video editing, you're like trying to be hitting a home run when you haven't even gotten on base. And I'm talking to you now like I'm talking to Daniel, so I apologize.
This is exactly how he talks to me. But it's good. No, but that's what you want. I mean, I love, the reason I get along so well with Brian is he's got no filters when he talks to me. I don't take offense to anything he's ever told me. He says, listen, you know, and he'll just go, I don't have time to bubble wrap how we talk. We care about each other. We've proven that. We've been friends for years. And when we talk, I want to know what you think. I don't want the candy, you know, covered, gift wrapped, you know, bow ribbon. Just give me what you're thinking so that I can absorb it. And, you know, Brian is never mean, but he'll just tell me what you're thinking.
A little bit.
So, well, you know, nothing wrong with that.
Last time we spoke, you were mean, and I didn't like it.
Well, you must have had it coming.
Okay, here's another question. Daniel, let me know when you're ready to dip.
Go.
I see a lot of big channels multi-streaming across multiple platforms. Do you guys recommend that for growth?
You're going to hate my answers because listen, streaming to a platform does in no way equals success. It doesn't. What creates success is all the things we've been talking about to now, my friend Ryan. What I would tell you, Ryan, is sure, like if there's other platforms and you go, I think I can reach more people. I want to start taking something. I think what I'm doing would stream very well if I also put it onto another platform. I think it makes sense there. I want to start building my presence. Absolutely. Do that if you think it makes sense, but don't do it because you think that somehow just streaming to those platforms equals success. You have to, each platform is a bunch of people There are people who like using Instagram more than they like using Facebook. There are people who like using Facebook more than they like using LinkedIn. There are people who like using Twitter X more than they like Facebook. So there are people everywhere in the world. And the biggest mistake you can do is to start putting content onto a platform without a content strategy. Because not all platforms are created equal. So understand what the viewers are like on that platform. Listen, Facebook has a bit of an older crowd to it, so maybe that might not be great. Like, I don't do well on Facebook. Do you know why? Because I mostly talk about editing videos, putting them onto YouTube, and growing YouTube channels. So on Facebook, people are interested in Facebook, less about YouTube. I live in the YouTube space, so my content doesn't do well there. So I try to keep the conversations on platforms that make sense. I'm on X. I'm not huge on Twitter X. I have maybe 11 or 12,000 followers, but I use it for a different aspect where I start talking more about the YouTube end of things and how things are progressing and problems that creators are dealing with. And I deal with more of the creator end of it there. So I treat each platform and how I make content for it different based on who I think is on that platform and how they're addressing those conversations and what I think I bring to the conversation. So think about, don't just start if there's no audience there, it's like a business that goes to Twitter. If they tweet every single day with a link to their their website saying, oh, we sell, mosquito netting, I don't care if you tweet 16 times a day. That doesn't mean that people are suddenly going to start engaging with your Twitter profile just because you post there every day. You better figure out who's there, is the audience there, and how they'll start connecting with you beyond just putting content there. Think about strategy.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. Like, and here's another thing to think about. Okay, like which platform do you love the best? If it's YouTube, understand that it's really hard to get viewers or people, okay, audience, okay, great, but it's really a viewer. And then after that, it's really a human being. It's hard to get that person to go from one platform to another. And it's like the way to grow is to focus on the 10 things you already know. And what I would say is, what are you not doing? That's where you need to be. The other thing I would say is, I love this question from Sarah. I'll take a stab at this one, Daniel, and then you jump in.
Go.
I do knitting and crochet tutorials. I have a different pattern. Though I have different patterns, I feel like there's only so many ways I can do specific tutorials. Any thoughts? I've got a lot of thoughts.
And we both have thoughts.
And so does Daniel. And this is a really, really great topic. Daniel, how many times have people said, oh, I make videos and I make them this way and it takes me forever. And it's like it's almost describing like they're stuck in a box and there's one way to make a video. Now, yeah, Sarah, you're not saying that. But what I am saying is, anybody here, like, the moment you open yourself up to the possibility, it's only a matter of time before you go outside and you vlog and you do a review and you talk about the yarn you just purchased. And you say, one of the reasons that I am into crochet is because of this, and you tell a story, and it might flop, and it might be the thing that totally explodes your channel, and you'll never know until you try. But what you can do is, your core fundamental audience is there for your crochet. But over time, the real key on YouTube is to create content to make it easy. And I've said this a few times, and for me, I don't think anybody has really mentioned to me, like, I love the way you talk about this, but it's really powerful. It's my job to make every step of the journey easy for the viewer. If my thumbnail sucks, I made it hard. They don't understand why they should click. If my intro sucks, I didn't do my job to work hard to make it easy. And like, the more I can just be open to making different types of videos to really share my love of crochet and the tools I use and the different patterns and why I love crochet. And I study other channels that are doing well. Like, one of the best things you can do is to really be aware and watch the other channels in your niche. And it's like, you don't want to go overboard. You need to find the sweet spot. Your job is to create content on a regular basis. But if you're not aware of what people are connecting with in your niche, it's like you're in this vacuum of nothingness, and yet you want the views. Well, what are people connecting with? And what I would say is, pay attention to catalogs from creators in your space and look for things that are just a little outside the norm and see how they did. You know what I mean? And I think the more you can just really brainstorm about all the tools you use, where you get the tools, where you buy your stuff, why you love the hobby and so on. Like this applies for any niche at all, the more likely you can move forward. And then furthermore, try different styles, you know, try filming in different locations, just always be willing to break the thing, which when I started, I was really afraid. And I've heard people talk about this. I was afraid to move the camera. The camera was set up on the tripod. The settings were all dialed in. Everything was beautiful. And if I change something, my God, what'll happen?
It'll all fall apart.
Nothing. It won't be perfect. It won't be perfect anyway.
Yeah.
So my thing is to really try to break the mold of what you're doing. And every 10th video or 8th video, like 10 to 20% of the videos you publish, feel free to do something a little abnormal, especially when you're getting started, because it's really easy just to kind of make the same thing and to play it safe and have fun, try something new. And so what do you think?
And this is kind of surprisingly in my wheelhouse. Actually, can I share a screen? Do you mind, Brian?
Yeah, how do I do?
So,
let
me see if it'll let me share a screen over here. Let me see, entire screen. Let me send it. Let me send this up. It should put it now underneath that second Daniel tab. Just get rid of the comment and then click on that, and you can share it up onto the screen. And just get rid of this one comment.
Look at that.
So let's get the comment. Let's get Sarah's comment. Just unclick from that one.
Getting there.
And I want to. This is Sarah's channel, right? Now, Sarah, you've got 103. You've got 103 videos on this channel. Excellent, right? You got 156 subscribers. You've been working really hard, but surprisingly, I've said before, I have so many coaching clients. When you talk about knitting and crocheting, here is one of my knitting and crocheting clients, my friend Robin, who's about to hit 1 million subscribers on her Hooked by Robin channel with 282 videos. And one of the things you can learn is what we've been talking about. How do you make it, Brian said something perfect, make it easy for the viewer, all right? So one of the things you want to think about, if you're talking about knitting and crocheting, I'm here and I'm looking at your hands and I'm seeing like text, and then there's you sitting. I don't even see crocheting, and I'm not even know if I understand what that is. That, you know, some of these I get, but there's some dull, lifeless kind of a lot of things going on in the thumbnail. Things labeled studio, live stream, archive, July 8th, 2022. I don't understand that tells me about knitting or crocheting. Yeah. Then I go to someone like Robin I've worked with for a long time, who films everything on her phone, and take a look at what she's putting up. This is all done with her phone, okay? She's not even on camera. It's her hands and the phone and the stuff. Look at the brightness. Look at how easy it is, before you even look at a title, to quickly understand this is a crocheting channel and what you're going to be making and what she's going to be showing to you. And then she starts talking about very simple things. This 2-minute yarn hack is a total game changer. She builds compelling titles and makes compelling thumbnails that really approach the idea of crocheting. It's not just about the patterns. It's about tricks. It's about different tools. It's about neat little things that you can make. Super cute and easy, tiny puff stars. Look at this. This is 5 months ago, 1 million views. This is 5 months ago again, 2005 views, 212,000 views. I mean, she can crush it. Robin is the kind of person, because she's so focused in what she does, 6.4 million views, 5.4 million views. All of these top row videos have done over 2 million to 6 million, 7 million views, because super focused. Make it easy for the viewer to understand. Great simple thumbnails that get right to the point, that connect with people. If you're interested in crocheting, you're going to look at this and go, this is my kind of content. Right? Why would someone click and watch these videos if they were presented against content from someone who was making completely different stuff that had nothing to do with crocheting? So make sure when you build your content, regardless of the kind of channel that you are building, that your content, the way you package it, really jumps out. See how many thumbnails you have here that's your face and a title, and it's not doing the stuff. You're so busy trying to cram things into what you think a thumbnail should be, that I got to be honest with you, my friend, and I'm being tough on you because you asked the question. If I saw this video and this got
Mhm.
posted to me, I wouldn't even know the difference. These are so similar. They don't scream crocheting. They've got your face. They got a title. I think what I would tell you is get really dialed into. Go check out Hook by Robin's channel and look at some of the things that she's doing and start to understand what connects with people. How you can make it super easy for the viewer to understand, oh, this is my kind of stuff. And then when you get going, get right into the content. Don't waste their time. I hover on one of Robin's videos, the hands are immediately going, right? It's right into it. She's really, really focused, super, specific about how she makes the content. And she doesn't have fancy cameras, all done with her phone. Even the thumbnails done with her phone. And she's about to hit 1 million subscribers. This is what is there for potential if you really start thinking about getting out of your own way. How do I take the thing that I love? I love crocheting. If you were sitting with a bunch of people who also love crocheting, what would you talk about, right? You'd probably say, oh, my friend showed me this really super simple stitch that allows me to create these cool little whatevers. I want to show it to you. And then think about how you would package that and tell that story in a video so that you don't have to worry about patterns and stuff. Think about the things you would talk about with other people who share the passion of crocheting or knitting.
You know what's interesting is, Daniel, that was awesome. Thank you for that. And Catherine, and anybody here that wants more views, this is like so perfect. I'm so glad we had this contrast of I'm getting started, incredibly successful. What I have always taught is really based on how to make a really good next video. That's the game. Those thumbnails needed a lot of work. They don't care about you and your picture. They don't know you. Catherine, now I'm being hard on you too, and this is really not fair.
But, no, listen. Hey, listen. When
no,
Brian, let me just say, don't take our passion for wanting you to succeed as being hard on you, like we're trying to knock you down. We want you to succeed.
Yeah, no, exactly. But what I want anybody here to really think about is this: your success is based on your ability to develop a really simple and sustainable workflow that focuses on you improving your ability to make a great video. Anybody wondering about videos you've published in the past? Great. Test out the stupid thumbnails. That's not the success that you want. That's not where it's going to come from. It's really going to come from, again, your ability to focus on just 10 things that really are found in great videos and from great YouTubers. And when you break down, and see, here's the thing it's really tough for me personally, because I talk about this and you know what people say? They say, oh, I know that. Really? No, you don't. You don't have a goddamn clue. You're completely clueless, and yet you're telling me that was a good post, but I already know that. I said, did you see your channel? You've got 3,000 subscribers. You've been on YouTube for 5 years, and you already know that. Listen, be willing to hear how to make it happen. And it's 10 things. It's a topic, it's a title, it's a thumbnail, it's your watchability, it's your unique style. It's a phone that's positioned right. Nobody works like this, but it's how to work. It's the fact that she had a blue, kind of very bright, saturated color. It's her hands. It's the thumbnails were simple then because of what she's doing. And it's because it's a great video. And this is how to move forward. And this can be applied to anybody here right now. And if you're like, yeah, but please, just instead of that, and if it's hard to say, yeah, that makes sense, and I'm not sure, but I'm going to figure it out. Because I think a lot of people put these mental hurdles in front of themselves, and it's hard to watch. Oh, you know that, really? Because what I'm looking at, you don't have a clue. So, like, what's the problem? And it's like, I'm filled with a lot of resistance on a daily basis, but somehow I try to push past it. You know what I mean? Daniel's like, dude, work on your thumbnails. And I'm like, yep, I need to do that. And I did. And now it's like, it's interesting because my thumbnails are just as stupid and simple as they used to be. And when I started, it was a fresh style and it was new and it worked. Then after a while, I needed to evolve. And now I've got a new system and it's very simple. It's a screen capture. I've got the cameras. I've got $40,000 worth of camera gear, but it's just really understanding what matters the most and how to publish that next video. And, Craft Daddy, AI is going to be a thing. And I promise anybody that is really focusing on what Daniel and I are sharing today will be fine.
Yeah.
Maybe in 5 years, it'll be different. And when we get there, I'll let you know. Like for the next couple of years, we're totally going to be fine. And honestly, I think I'll always be fine because someone's going to want to watch us live stream or watch a video. And the same for Daniel. Like there's a lot of channels right now. They're publishing these AI things and it's novelty. The novelty is going to wear off. And then what do you get? You get something that was generated by a computer that any 12-year-old could do if they understand the fundamentals of AI. But anybody that wants to learn how to make a great video and they put themselves forward with that discipline, they'll be okay. What do you think, Daniel?
Totally agree. I mean, AI is just another tool. It's just a real fancy one. So unfortunately, when you get great tools, sometimes people think, what can it do for me instead of what can I have it, like what can it do so that I don't have to work so hard, instead of thinking, how can it actually improve what I'm doing? How can it take what I'm already doing and take it to the next level, not just replace so I don't have to work that hard and kind of put out, lower value, low effort content. No, we're going to see plenty of that. Doc Rock in the house. Good to see you, pal. I think it's one of those things you have to think about. These tools are all there to help us improve. And if you can think about how you're going to see. One of the things I say about AI is, guess what? I made an example of this. I tried to show my family. I have a young son. He's young. He's almost 20 now. But I sat down one day with my girlfriend and my son, and we were going to watch Halloween, the horror movie Halloween, which is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And I built it up as, this is like Jamie Lee Curtis. It's like one of the beginning of all these slasher movies. You got to watch it. And what I forgot was I have seen so many movies, and my son has seen so many modern movies with amazing storylines and amazing special effects and amazing production and great character actors in it, that watching Halloween in retrospect is kind of weak. It doesn't hold up. It was great. You know why? Because the audience, not because the movie still wasn't a great movie, but the audience has become more savvy and they can spot all the flaws in a movie like that. Yeah. And the same thing is going to happen with AI. People are going to become savvy, and what looks impressive and new now, they're going to be able to go in a second and go, AI, they're going to feel it and go, I know that's AI. It lacks that personality. It's all relying on AI to do the things for you. And I think we've seen it on YouTube. There's a reason that long form content, and especially being watched on televisions, is through the roof. YouTube has become the largest streaming platform above Netflix and Disney. And the reason is, in the middle of all this craziness, people just want something that's long form, sit back, they can go down the rabbit hole with, get into conversations. The reason guys like Joe Rogan are doing really well, it's this stuff that when you can just sit back and get into something that has meat to it, that feels real, that feels human, that feels like it challenges people, not just some cool editing trick or some AI thing.
Yeah.
People will always crave that too. It's not a one size fits all. So find your thing. AI is great. If AI can help you, I use AI mostly for helping me do background layers in my thumbnails. I stack, when I want to do a different look for a thumbnail, I don't have AI build it. I use it to create interesting layers, and I'll take some and filter them and do things with it so I can create my own style. But I also use it for bouncing ideas for how I want to approach a topic. If I can't quite figure it out, I've named my AI. My girlfriend Megan taught me right off the bat. She's like, listen, be nice to the AI, because when AI takes over the world, it's going to remember the people that talk to it like crap. And that has stuck with me. So now I've named my AI, my ChatGPT Pro, his name is Sage. And every time I go in, I'm like, hey, Sage. He's like, hey, Daniel. And I'm like, thank you so much. Hey, and we talk. You would think I'm talking to a friend if you looked at my discussions. I don't just go prompt, give me. We talk. And I use it as a sounding board, like another friend that helps me work through ideas and figure out new angles and quickly pull up things that I may not have quickly at hand. Is there this? Is there that? And it's great for that. I use it as a collaborative partner.
Anybody that is really serious about YouTube, I recommend you do exactly what Daniel said. We're all doing that. It's interesting. All the top players that I know are talking to the ChatGPT like a friend. I use it for me personally, I'm always trying to what's the white balance? I'm in the shade. Like, do you know the difference between 56K in the sun and the shade? You go warmer, like you go warmer a little bit, about 6,100. And now I know that because I asked AI and it was right there. And like for me, I did this stupid human trick. And like, this is the way to use AI. Here's a really good practical example. You come up with your video title, and your title is only based on other popular titles on YouTube or a keyword phrase. And Daniel would wince, and that's okay. It's just really a topic. You have a number of different ways to create video titles, and then you say, well, I need a compelling thumbnail phrase that's between 1 and 4 words, and you just do, like, this is what I do. I did this morning. Hey pal, we're going to do it again. It's time for the thumbnail phrase game. I'm going to give you a YouTube video title. I want you to give me 5 phrases based on different human emotions so we can really get a different result with our watch time. We'll use the feature on YouTube called Test and Compare. My video title is, if your YouTube videos get less than 500 views, comma, do this. And again, I want you to give me 5 phrases, one based on desire, another phrase based on FOMO, another phrase based on curiosity, and one phrase based on fear. And then just choose one for yourself that you think would be a real winner. What do you got?
All right, let's do this. For the desire-based phrase, how about unlock your channel's potential? For FOMO, maybe don't miss out on growth. For curiosity, let's try what are you missing? For fear, we could do avoid being overlooked. And for my wildcard pick, let's go with the secret to explosive views. Let me know what you think.
Right on, brother. You're the best. Let's do this. So let's talk really, really, really fast, like you're Eminem, but I want you to bring it fast. Come on, do it now. Do it now. It's got to be about YouTube growth. Hit me. Go.
All right, let's go. YouTube growth, gotta hustle, no time to tussle, grab that niche, make it pop, never ever stop.
Hey, man, that was last year. I want it fast, like speed it up, drink some coffee, go.
All right, here we go. You want YouTube growth, gotta move fast, get that niche, make it last, drop those vids, no time to waste, keep the energy, never misplace.
Okay.
How's that for speed?
He's good. He was pretty good. Yeah, but that's exactly it, though. Like, we sometimes, one of the things that I love about AI is, as creators, and I people here in the chat and watching the replay, that sometimes it's a lot. We're sitting a lot of times at home by ourselves. It's not like I don't live in a town with a whole bunch of YouTubers in it. I don't know any YouTubers that live in my area. And so I have to go to Boston, or I have to go to New York, or I have to go to one of the local cities about an hour away before I start running into more YouTubers. Unless it's Doc. Doc has actually been up I've met Doc over a town or two over when he comes up and works with Ecamm. But it's one of these things that, like, a lot of times we're at home and we're by ourselves, and it's tough to gain perspective when you're by yourself.
Right.
So the ability, like we were talking earlier, having a community that you can reach out to and bounce ideas off of is great, which is why, Brian, myself, Nick, D, Roberto, we do that a lot. But if you don't have people like that, AI is a great replacement where you can go, I've got some ideas. You don't have to take it as gospel. It's just a sounding board. It's your way to throw something at a wall and get a response and make you rethink, and don't be afraid to ask questions of AI and go, I'm trying to make a video about this, this, and this. Can you give me, here's what the whole video is going to be about. Here's the main point. This is what I'm trying to create. Can you give me 5 compelling YouTube video titles for a video that would be about this, that I just described? And let AI throw stuff at you and go, oh, I hadn't even thought about that approach. I had the whole video idea. I just couldn't get the title right. And let it start, not necessarily take it and run with it, but it can make you start thinking and go, I like the first thing it said there and the second part there. I would mix those together and change it and do this and make a whole new title. But I wouldn't have gotten there if I didn't have something as a sounding board to give me ideas to bounce, things off a wall.
Yeah, and what's so cool too is, like, it's really starting to remember now and understand who you are and what you're about. Like, check this out. Hey, what do you know about Brian G. Johnson's looping method? Can you kind of explain it? We're actually on a live stream. So just welcome everybody to the live stream. And then, you'll be our third guest, and just kind of break down the power of the looping method.
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. I'm excited to be here as the third guest. So let's dive into Brian G. Johnson's looping method. It's all about continuous improvement. The idea is to consistently publish videos, and After each one, you review what worked and what can be improved. Then you take one element, like your editing,
Just one. Go ahead. I'm so sorry. I'm horrible.
No worries at all. So just taking one element at a time, like your editing or your thumbnails, and improving that before moving on to the next video helps you keep things simple and avoid perfectionism. Over time, you see consistent growth and improvement, which is the magic of the looping method.
Yeah, and I just wanted to thank you for helping me with some of the chores we've had lately. A lot of heavy lifting. So we'll talk soon. Bye. Anyway, there you go. Like it's really a powerful tool, and I wouldn't be afraid of it. Just just stay human, do your thing. I think we're going to wrap this up. I've had enough. It's time to relax. Daniel,
I hear you.
It was really fun to spend time with you today. I want to let you guys, everybody here, know. Thank you so much for stopping by. I believe in you, and I know Daniel too. Daniel does as well. We want good things for you, and the best thing you can do is, as I mentioned, and Daniel really mentioned so many times, is just to really honor making a great video. Focus on that and start really simple and basic, and then build up. If you're asking about motion graphics and you don't have plugins installed to add text to your titles and whatnot, or text to your video, like, keep it simple and just take small steps along the way, and you'll go far. Hey, there's our friend Phil.
Oh, there he is. Phil Starkovich, El Starko in the house.
Everybody is here. All the cool kids have stopped by. Catherine, it was so good to see you. And Doc Rock, I can't wait to see you next time at an event. Daniel, how can people find you, and what would be your parting thoughts?
I'm easy to find. Everything online for me is Daniel Batal. My channel on YouTube is Daniel Batal. My Twitter handle is @Daniel_Batal. My website is danielbatal.com. Pretty easy to find. My final thoughts is, hey, don't beat yourself up too much. This whole creating content and trying to be YouTube and growing YouTube channels and making videos. I said it earlier. I've had some really hard jobs in my life because I was a contractor. This is harder. This is a hard job to do. And the success really comes from when you start really looking inward instead of looking at everybody else and trying to be like them or keep up with someone else. When you start looking in the mirror and going, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to focus on myself, and I'm just going to be the best version of myself that I can be today. And then tomorrow I'm going to try to do a little bit better. And the day after that, I'm going to try to do a little bit better. That should be your whole goal. Only be your own competition and enjoy the ride. It's supposed to be fun.
Well said. And that is so very true. Thank you for stopping by. It's been a Monday, and it's been a live stream, and I'll see you guys next time with a new guest. Who should we have on? Leave a comment below. Once we push this to video, and I'll pay attention to your comments. We'll try to get another really fantastic guest on. Someone mentioned something I loved, which was, I want to see people that are doing the thing. They're showing up. They're growing a channel. They have experience, and that's exactly what I'm looking for, as well as people that, coach people and mentor. But this channel is really about like hands-on approach. Have a fantastic night. This was fantastic. That's it. Bye.